on, everybody? Once again, back, it's the incredible Dale Valor's Inner Game Podcast. And I am rapper turned dating coach, Dale Valor, your inner game wingman. And to my left, we have my trusted confidant, not going by Crossbow Killer today, but actually using his real name. Although, I will say, Crossbow Killer would be a pretty cool birth name. If your parents were like, the day you're born,
if they're living in the jungle,
yeah, they got to sign the birth certificate. And what is this child's name going to be? I know, Crossbow Killer.
Yep, that's gonna be a fun one.
Which actually,
imagine school life
in Indian translates into English as Crossbow Killer. So it actually worked out.
It doesn't. It is just lie.
What does it mean? Do you know?
It means auspicious or lucky.
What is it?
That auspicious or lucky.
Oh, I thought you said suspicious of being lucky. Like what?
No. It's like lucky or like purely auspicious. Like, you know, I'm like a lucky charm sort of thing.
Oh, okay, I got you. I was gonna say suspicious of being lucky. Like, well, I don't know about these lottery winnings. I feel like there's some strings attached here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here's the deal, man. You know, a couple of things I want to address right up front, and then we'll get into the meat of what we're going to be talking about. A couple of things. So first and foremost, listen, I have a Inner Game virtual boot camp coming up September 23rd and 24th. Look, it's going to be on Zoom. You'll have the videos for the rest of your life. If you should ever want to revisit anything that we were talking about in that boot camp, but really what we're going to be doing is a gang of exercises and a gang of topics to help you solidify the relationship that you have with you, which is what I define inner game to be, hence this podcast, you know? So we want you to strengthen your relationship with you so all your other relationships in life can flourish. Because if the relationship with you sucks, so are those relationships. And I want to go into that boot camp. And by the way, I'm keeping it stupid cheap. I'm practically giving this thing away. So here's the deal. If you want better self-esteem, more self-confidence, self-discipline, being able to set boundaries for yourself so you're not getting walked on, not falling in the nice guy trap, you know, all those things that we're going to talk about, assertiveness, you know, overcoming approach anxiety, dealing with past trauma. You know, there's so many things that we are going to hone in on that I truly believe if you attend this boot camp, it is going to be a game changer. So if you want details on that, look, my contact information is always in the description. All you got to do is reach out to me. I'm not trying to twist your arm. I'm just trying to arm you with information so you can make the best choice for yourself. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, my book Inner Game is out. If you want the first chapter for free, just to take a look at it, check it out, go to freegiftfromdale.com, also in the description. All right, you can go there, get that first chapter, check it out, and see if it's something that speaks to you on any level. And I'm quite sure that it will, actually. But if it doesn't, you know, like, no harm, no foul. If it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's cool. But if it speaks to you even a little bit, the whole book is going to put everything together for you. So I'm urging you to check that out, man, just for your own sake, for your own life in leveling up. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're a regular customer, welcome back. Although I don't know, does a customer count if you're getting something for free? Like, are you a customer? I don't know.
Yeah, like, that's what you would say.
Like,
I don't know. Even I'm confused.
Like, do homeless people, when they go to the homeless shelter to get sandwiches or soup or whatever they're giving away, are those homeless people customers because they're getting it for free? Maybe it's
Mm,
semantics and it doesn't matter.
yeah, it's more semantics, true, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, it depends on like particular situation. In case of homeless, not really, but in case of people watching our video, I would still say they're customers in the sense that first of all, you're still branding it, right? It's still under your name, so it's like the brand value and the promotion value that comes in there, if you ask me.
All
So
right, fair enough.
technically, I
We'll go with
suppose it would be.
customers.
Yeah.
All right. So, we were talking a little bit before jumping on here, doing a little bit of show prep and things like that. And the topic of conversation in what we were talking about that I thought was something interesting that we could touch on was your very stereotypical, colloquial type of advice that you would get from women to men when we're talking about dating and relationships, and there's two that jump out to me more so than anything else. Okay. Now, and there's more than two, but in my mind, the top two things that women always say, if you walk up, and I'm not talking about female dating coaches, I'm not talking about Jamie, I'm not talking about Emily, any of the women that have been on this podcast. Okay. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about maybe you're at work and dating and relationships, whatever comes up in conversation. And maybe you're struggling in that department. And if you are, I'm glad you're here because, in large part, that's what we talk about. So, but still, nonetheless, maybe you're at work, you're having this conversation, and you're like, hey, you say to this girl who's talking about X, Y, and Z, what do you think that I should do to be better with dating and things like that? The two things that are going to come out of her mouth, probably before anything else, is just be confident. That's the first one, okay?
Yeah.
The second one is just be yourself.
Yep.
And guess what? Here's the deal. I'll fill you in on a little secret. It's actually not bad advice. It really isn't. The problem is that a lot of guys don't know how to gain that confidence. It's kind of like giving, it's like kind of like giving the what without the how, you know? So like, I might say something like, maybe somebody's like, hey, how do I throw a good dinner party? All right, I've been known to throw dinner parties and things like that. And so maybe somebody asks me, how do you throw a good dinner party? Well, you might want to get this type of wine. You might want to make this type of meal. We'll just say that meal happens to be, I don't know. We'll say it's some type of souffle. All right. Now, you want to make that souffle from scratch. Don't go to the store and get the souffle. Make it from scratch. All right. You do that. You do this. You have this type of wine to go with it. You have these conversational topics. Boom, your dinner party will be a success. All right. The problem that that individual is coming away with is, okay, now I know how to do, or I know what to do to make it a great dinner party. But I don't know how to make a souffle, man. I know I need one. I don't know how to make it. It's the same thing with, how are you just gonna be confident? If you don't have confidence, it's like, whoa, shit, why did I think about being confident?
Yeah. It's like, it's like, like the common thing, like, how do you be like, ripped or jacked? Or like, go to the gym. Like, yeah, right. As if that's all. Like,
yeah, great example. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, you're going to the gym with no workout plan whatsoever. You're not talking to a personal trainer. You're not watching any workout videos on YouTube. You're just like, well, I was told to go to the gym. Here I am. You know what I mean?
Waiting for the magic to happen.
Right. Like, okay, I'm standing in the locker room. I'm still the same weight as when I walked in here. Like, what's going on? So, but that's the thing. How are you just going to be confident. And then the second one, just be yourself. Now, I mean, of course. Of course you should be yourself. Who else are you gonna be? You know what I mean? Like anything that you would do to try to not be yourself is gonna come across as, you know, incongruent for one, inauthentic for two, for three, it's probably gonna be sussed out rather quickly. For four, once it is sussed out, you know, good luck.
It becomes creepy. Yeah, it becomes creepy.
It's real
like
creepy, you know? So, you know, of course you should be yourself. But the problem that a lot of guys run into with that advice is, well, I've been being myself for the last umpteenth amount of years or whatever, and it hasn't worked because I'm a nice guy, or because, you know, I'm not a bad boy, or because, you know, I don't make $1 million, and you know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff. And so those two things, you know, to me are the number 1 and 2, you know, dating advice tips that you will get from random women. You brought up one too. What was it?
Yeah, I was gonna say this one. Like, this actually happened depending on how you frame the question. In your case, you just asked, like, you know, what I can do. If you generally ask a girl, what are, like, you know, the qualities you like in a guy, she's gonna say confident. She's gonna say he's a nice guy, and she's gonna say he's a kind guy. Now, the problem is, nice and kind get interpreted very differently by guys than what girls say, you know? And that's why we have the whole, you know, generation stuck with the nice guy syndrome. Like, but they said they like nice guys, and then, you know, they don't like us. Like, you know, what's going on? Sort of thing. Yeah. So that's what I was hinting at.
Yeah, man. You know, like, the thing is that, you know, this is another one too. You know, sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big one. Sense of humor. You know, and you know, you hear guys say stuff like, oh, well, you know, I'm into, you know, my sense of humor is like this. I'm into these type of comedies and things like that. And it's, you know, women don't generally like that type of humor. Maybe it's kind of like gross out type humor or something like that. And that's what I respond to. That's what I think is funny. Women don't think it's funny. Therefore, I don't have a sense of humor. Therefore, you know, good luck. Like, I'm just not going to date her or something, you know? See, here's with all of those things, and you could even bring up 50 more, okay? With all of those things, what guys tend to do, and I see it all the time, is where they take it to the extreme. The one thing, women like bad boys, or, you know, women respond to guys being assholes. So let me ramp that up to the umpteenth degree, and, you know, and now I'm going to be attractive. Well, you might get a little further along, but not where you're really actually trying to go, you know? Or women like nice guys. Oh, nice guy, you say? Yeah, I could be the nicest guy in the history of ever. You know, you need me to build an extension onto your house? Gotcha. Need me somebody to paint your living room? Gotcha. Need somebody to shuttle your dog around to the dog pet groomer place? Gotcha. You know what I mean? Like, they take that niceness and they ramp that way up to a point of it being like, man, this guy he can't be for real. Like, I'm asking him literally to, like, commit suicide for you? Gotcha. You know what I mean? Like, it's so, like, placating, right? And it's putting women up on a pedestal that they didn't deserve to be on, which is why it comes across as, you know, very
fake and creepy. Yeah, like, it seems like fake and creepy, like, you know?
Yeah, but transactional. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Transactional also.
Like, now, I'm a nice guy, and I've been tracking all my brownie points that I've added up. Got them all right here. Keeping close eye on this, because I know when I get to level 1,000 of nice guy qualities. Now you own me. You know, and
Right.
and that's not what she's signing up for, you know. With the confidence thing, you know, like, oh, just be more confident, fake it till you make it, which, by the way, I do agree with that to a certain degree. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, you know, like, okay, so now instead of looking at it like core confidence, it's like now that person is looking what's the word I'm looking for here? Try hard. You know, they're overcompensating for a lack of confidence. Now it's like, well, no matter what, I gotta show that I'm the alpha, that I'm in charge, that I'm the boss, that I'm, you know what I mean? And the classic example I love of that is this. Say, for instance, that it's you know, stupid hot outside. I mean, ridiculously hot, all right? And you're sitting at home with this girl, and, you know, she's like, hey, you know what would be a good idea? We should walk down to the corner to the ice cream place and get some ice cream. Now, the insecure, you know, fake confident guy, you know, he says to her, no, bitch, I'll decide when we have ice cream. But even in his own mind, he's like, that's a pretty damn good idea. The ice cream sounds great right now, you know? But can't let her, you know, like have any suggestions or let her decide what
steer
would be a good idea.
Yeah, steer the boat essentially.
Right. You know, like can't let her even consider throwing out something that might be a good idea. Because I'm the one that brings the ideas, you know? Like, that's absurd. It's ridiculous, you know? And seeing these guys, and I've seen it time after time, like guys who enter the Modern Success program, you know, a lot of times, man, like where they're starting from, they're thinking that they're only one or two clicks away from being able to be successful with dating and relationships. And what they come to find out rather quickly is they're a long way away from one or two clicks, you know, long way away. Because it's like and by the way, it's kind of easy to do this, like so for instance on TikTok or Instagram or on YouTube here or whatever, you know, you got shorts, you got clips, you got reels, you know, they're a minute or less mainly, you know, and by the way, you know, like, I mean, I'm not knocking those. I put them out just about every day. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm as guilty as this as anybody else. But it's like, because that clip can only be so long, you know, you got a minute or less that you're working with in most cases. So you can't, it's hard to frame the context of what that clip is really trying to get across, right? That soundbite. You're not hearing all the context behind that soundbite. So a lot of times guys hear these sound bites. Oh, you want to be better with dating? Well, just do this one thing and you will be better. Yeah, if you do that one thing, assuming that these other things are already in place. You know?
Yeah, like, no? That's the silent part, like, you know, that you didn't hear.
Right. You know, like, look, everybody wants, seemingly, everybody wants a list of starters to start off conversations, whether that be in person or on dating apps or something like that, right? How do I break the ice? You know, how do I start off this conversation? Man, like I could give you ways to start those conversations for days. I bet you we could do a month's worth of podcasts just on that. You know, just different ways to start conversations and things like that. You know, like I could go on and on and on and on and on about it. But and by the way, they're effective and it's dope. You know what I mean? But I could, like Shabam, if I gave you a list of 1,000 ways to start a conversation, how well do you think that conversation is going to get started if you were like, you haven't taken a shower in 2 weeks, your beard's looking all wispy, you haven't like groomed, or you got on dirty clothes, and you're walking up to some girl, and you got your head down and you're just kind of schlepping along, and you walk up to her, you're like, hi, who lies more, men or women? Like, yeah, I gave you the line, but if you delivered it like that and you was presenting yourself in such a way, how effective do you think it would be?
It won't work, definitely.
No,
like, it just won't.
It wouldn't be effective at all. And then what happens is, oh man, that's everything Dale told me is bullshit. It didn't work at all. You know what I mean? It's like, no, man, it's not that it doesn't work. That's like saying, you know what that's like? That's like going outside, right? And say I'm gonna drive to the store, and I don't have any tires on my car. Okay, the tires are just gone. All right, so it's just sitting on the rims. And I get in the car, start it up, put it in drive, off I go. I will be able to go forward. I will be able to go a little ways, right? Until those rims just get tore the hell up and the car just won't go any further, But I will be able to make a little bit of progress to go get where I'm going. But I'm not going to be able to get to that store. It will be impossible. And even if I do get to that store, it's going to take me forever because I have no tires on my car. All right. And then me being mad at the car and the people that told me that I should drive up to the store if I want to get this particular thing. Like, man, everybody always tells me when you get in a car and you start it up and drive away that it takes you to where you want to go. Bullshit. They all lied to me. You know what I mean?
Like, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem, like you don't get the entire context of, what you mean. Even like, this is, I kind of have like, my own like, issue with the entire fake it till you make it concept. Because deep down, okay, see, when you tell someone, fake your confidence, okay? The problem is, that's kind of, making it seem that guy is not confident. Like you said, now he really has to pretend. At the same time, it's reinforcing the belief that he's not confident. Like, I prefer rather think of it something like, think of it something that you've forgotten that you're remembering, You're just remembering to be confident. Like, everyone has been confident at some point in their life. Or maybe, yeah, exactly. Like, maybe they're not confident in this thing, let's say, in this case, talking to a girl. But they're confident in maybe playing video games or like, anything like talking to their friends or just having, I don't know, like playing a drinking game.
Felt the feeling of being confident one time.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So what they just need to do is remember that feeling in this context. Like the whole, like, I mean, it's just the way it's said, okay? Like, that's my beef with like, whole fake it till you make it. It kind of makes it seem that that person doesn't have confidence in the first place. That's not the case. He just doesn't remember to be confident in this scenario. It's not that he's never been confident. It's just like, that particular scenario for some, like, because he's like, like framing his view in a certain way, he's not confident. But that can be changed. And, like, and that's the best part. Like you said, you can have all the starters, like, starting best lines in the world. A confident, just high is still a better line than, being unconfident and, like you said, with like the droopy look and, everything else.
Right.
You could say the perfect line like that, or you can just say hi with like a confident smile and, you're dressed well and that's it.
Yeah.
That would work better.
I mean, look, say for instance, say I came to India, all right?
Okay.
Now, we'll say in the area that I'm in, nobody speaks English, okay? And I don't know, man, you guys speak like 1,000 different dialects. So there's no way that you know what I'm saying? Like none that I'm gonna know any bit of the language, okay? And by the way, complete side note here. I heard India change their name, like the country.
They're planning to, it's not official.
Oh, okay.
From India, it's gonna change to Bharat. That's the plan apparently, but it's not confirmed.
Okay.
Like it's just not official. Who knows? I mean, when I heard the news, I just went and bought all some domains with the name Bharat in it, so that at least I can flip them for money. So it is what it is.
Not a bad idea. All right.
Yeah.
So, but imagine I came to some town, right?
Yeah.
They don't speak English. I don't speak whatever language they speak, and so communication is going to be significantly difficult,
Harder.
right?
Yeah.
So now you got me, can't speak the language, and then we got guy X over here that I was talking about before. Schlubby, unkempt looking, looks like his dog just died, just kind of walking around head low, you know what I mean? But he can speak the language. He lives there. Grew up there his whole life, He can communicate with people very easily, all right? I promise you that I would get a better reaction not even being able to speak the same language than that guy. Being able to speak the same language.
Exactly. That's the power of, being confident. It's like being yourself and being confident are actually good advices for that reason. It's just that there's more context to it. It's just not that, there's underlying, terms and conditions, let's say.
Yeah. Now let's dissect this a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So, true. You can't just be confident, but you have been confident before in certain aspects of your life. I promise you that you have. There's people I'll talk to be like, no, never happened. Well, then how are we even having this conversation? You had to have enough confidence in yourself to be able to dial numbers on a phone. You know what I mean? And you might say, well, that's silly, Dale. You have enough confidence to tie your shoes. Okay, that's silly, Dale. But is it? You literally have done steps and accomplished those things multiple times. Now, that confidence may not transcend to where you want it to in that here and now, but it does suggest that you are able to learn things, that you are able to see the action steps that you need to do and have been taught them in order for you to duplicate that success for whatever that thing is. Okay, whether it's something big or small, you've demonstrated that you can do that, which means that you can do it again if you have the right action steps that you're taking as example to duplicate that success. Okay, so true and fair, you may not be confident in going up talking to this oh so attractive girl that happens to be where you are. You might not be confident enough to do that in the here and now. Okay, cool. Happens a lot, man. Happens all the time. All right. So it's not like you're the misnomer or you're the one-off. That actually is the status quo. Dude, I was doing a boot camp a few weeks ago, and one of the guys, he was not, I wouldn't say that he was slacking, but he just didn't have as many approaches as some of the other people, and he was in his head a little bit and kind of had to coax him out. And well, once he got rolling, he was fine. So the thing is that, I would say, man, he probably over the course of that weekend probably approached about 20 women, all right, in that boot camp. And he was kind of kicking himself a little bit. He was like, man, I missed out on so many opportunities, I just didn't get the amount of approaches in that I would have liked to have gotten in and things like that. And I'm like, man, okay, fair. That's a fair point, okay? But you still, 20 approaches in the course of a weekend, you have approached more women over the course of this weekend than most guys will approach in 5 years.
Yep, that's actually true.
And so you've literally taken 5 years of data and truncated it into one weekend. So, okay, that's fair. You didn't do as much as you would have liked to have, but you're still doing way
Way
more,
better.
than your average everyday guy, right? So, okay, you don't have the confidence to go talk to that girl. Okay, cool, fine. All right. But you can make a substitution of that confidence. See, you might not be confident in yourself, but you can be confident in your learning, in your training. Okay, like much like a soldier who's running into a battle, right? Yeah, man, he's probably scared to death, dude. Like who wouldn't be? Like when you think about like the Allied forces in World War II landing on the beaches of Normandy, they didn't just walk in like do. You know what I mean? Like the Nazis had secured that beachhead with all kinds of like huge
weapons, artillery, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it was well defended. They didn't just walk in. People were just getting smashed on the beach, right? Like dudes were just getting their heads blown off left and right. Those people that are behind the people seeing everybody getting shot up, you're telling me they weren't scared? Of course they were. But they had so much training that superseded that fear.
Fear, yep.
It's like, as soon as we gotta go, we gotta go. We gotta get to that point over there. It's what we have to do. Regardless of anything that happens, we gotta get there. So that's the thing, is that if you can have competence, that can supersede and replace that confidence in the here and now. Not forever, but it can bridge that gap for quite, for the here and now. Okay.
Yep.
My favorite, and you probably heard me say this, you probably know what I'm about to say, but man, my favorite example of that, man, is fucking, there's like a gnat like flying around in my face. All right, so imagine you're on an airplane, okay, and you're sitting aisle seat, or I'm sorry, middle seat. Man, it's annoying. All right, but okay, so you're sitting middle seat, all right, and on the aisle seat, you got somebody sitting next to you. Now he's in the aisleway, right? And then you got somebody sitting next to you on the window side, all right? You're sitting there in the middle, and off you go. You're flying to wherever. Now you're up in the air an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. Word gets out. The pilot had a heart attack and died. Okay, he's done, dead. Okay, word gets out, people start panicking. What does this mean? Like, is this thing on autopilot? Can it just still fly there? Are we gonna crash into the ground? What's gonna happen, right? The guy sitting next to you, he stands up and he's like, listen, everybody, fret not. I have seen Top Gun no less than 30 times. I've even seen the new one that came out recently 3 times. I got this on lock. He runs to the front of the plane, gets behind the instrument panel. He's taking over. What's going to happen? What do you think would happen, Shaban?
Probably still a crash.
Everybody's dead. That's what happens. All right. Because, look, I mean, okay, you saw a movie, like, great, like, okay. Now, take that same example. We'll say that there's a co-pilot. And this is the co-pilot's very first day on the job. All right. He just got his flying license. Like, this is day 1. So he's already nervous, just on the strength that it's his first day being a co-pilot. Now, add this high pressure, intense situation in the mix, okay? Now, he's not confident at all. He's just like, man, of course, my first day,
Classic.
But what does he have? Well, he's got a ton of flight time hours already. Okay.
Right.
He's had hours of flight simulation, hours of books, learning, classes, all that kind of thing. So he has all the training in the world. Now, when he gets behind that instrument panel, there's a huge chance, probably 99.99% chance, everything will be fine. He'll fly the plane to where it's going, he'll land the plane, and that's a wrap. Everybody's, they're at the gate, everybody's getting off, So, now this co-pilot, he doesn't have confidence in himself, but he does have confidence in his competence, right?
Yep.
So if you can't be confident, be competent. Learn from things like this podcast. And we're not the only one, man. But you can check into Modern Success and see what we're about. And if it doesn't resonate with you, find somebody else. But either way, look, there's a reason why that there's people who are coaches in certain spaces. Is every coach great? No, of course not. Is everybody at your job good at what they do? No, of course not. Not everybody's great at it, but do your own due diligence. See who resonates with you best, and go with that person. Learn from that individual, whether it's me or somebody else. Get somebody, to give you that competence that you can have confidence in. One of the things that is so important, man, so important. I wrote about it in my book, is being able to turn your brain off and just listen to what the coach is telling you. It's okay to ask questions, don't get me wrong. But when you have a student like in a boot camp or something like that constantly is questioning your methods, I already know that this person is not going to be successful. I already know. And then again, it's okay to ask questions and can you show me how to do that again? Or, so when you do this, how should you be standing? Or when you say this, what should your tonality be? Or something, those are all fair and good questions. But when you're yeah, I don't know, man, I don't think that works. Why would that work? You're like,
yeah.
Man, you're already at the boot camp. You already have to be trusting me on some level because you're paying to be there. Don't question the methodology. Just shut your brain off and do what you're told, and you'll see why. You'll experience and feel why. I ain't gotta break it down for you.
Exactly, and also it's okay. Let me give a better example of it. Let's say Mike Tyson is here and he's gonna teach you how to punch someone or punch, okay? And you go be like, nah, I don't feel like punching that way. I want to punch this way.
Right.
It's bro, he's Mike Tyson.
Right.
What are you on about?
Mike Tyson might punch you for saying that stuff, man.
Come on,
exactly,
who are you? Who's he? Okay, another example. Let's say Bill Gates comes, okay, and he wants to teach me something about how to make money. I might have nothing to do with what he's doing, okay? I'd still listen to him.
Yep.
But he's Bill Gates.
Yeah.
He probably has something I know there's probably something I can learn from him.
He's may not be the exact respect.
Exactly.
He's done. This guy's done something. This guy clearly knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
It would be silly for me to be like, even if he told me something that I thought was just ridiculous. If Bill Gates was like, yeah, so look, I'm gonna fill you in on something, and this is gonna change your life. The money that you're gonna have coming in on this is it's going to be just completely life-changing. We're talking about generational income. What you need to start doing, Shabam, is investing in dragon eggs. You're going to be like, what? Dragon eggs. But once that initial, what? You're going to be like, all right, where's these dragon eggs? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because I got to invest in these.
Yeah. I would be like, okay, he's saying it, so there's probably something worth there. Now, obviously, don't be complete, idiots and just, listen to anything.
Right.
But in general, when an expert is teaching, be coachable, be learning. Once you've mastered it, you can tune it to your own style. That's fine. That's the whole point. Okay, even with game, when you are learning, learn what the coach is telling you. Whatever he wants to say, do it as he says. But once you get good enough, now you can tune it to what you want to see.
Exactly. That's exactly.
That's how you.
That's exactly.
That's exactly. Then you develop your own style, and now that's no longer game essential. That's just you.
Yeah.
That's just you being you. That's the real.
Yeah, man. Like when I was doing real estate actively, I used to make a lot of cold calls. A lot. Like usually somewhere in the threshold of 1,000 a week. And so just trying to see, just trying to start conversations, and see if I can find people who are interested in maybe selling their house or whatever, right? But these are cold calls, they're not, they're not expecting a call from me,
Yeah.
So now in real estate, much like every other space, you have real estate coaches, okay? And, some are better than others, in my opinion, and things like that. But at the end of the day, a lot of these coaches, what they'll do is they'll throw out free content, and a lot of times it's like cold call scripts. My team, when we started using this script, we scaled up from doing $1 million a month to $50 million a month in sales just by this script and this script alone. So I'm giving that to everybody for free. If you want it, drop script in the comments. Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's see what this script's about. I kept going through all these different scripts, and just some of them were a little more effective than others, but it wasn't like a significant difference. You know what I mean? But it was just like, man, am I doing something wrong? Am I why aren't these scripts really taking off? Are these guys bullshitting me? Is it like these scripts aren't effective one bit, but they're just gonna throw it out there to try to, get me to do their coaching? Or, what's the deal here? Why isn't this really taking off like I would like? What I realized was it was because what I was doing was I was taking that script and I was memorizing it. Okay, I would sit up and I'd go over it in my head and say it out loud over and over and over and over and over and over again. And now I'm getting on the phone and it just sounds like I'm just saying a script.
Yeah.
As opposed to just kind of being myself and saying it the way that I would say it. Okay.
Yep.
So what I had to take away from getting those scripts, it wasn't the actual words on the paper or the screen. What it was is the context behind why those words are on the paper or the screen. Why is that being said there? Oh, it's because you're overcoming an objection.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so when I get that objection, instead of saying the actual line, taking a couple of keywords out of it and then saying it the way that I would say that overcome that objection, right? Which enables me also to not have to remember the script, every word of, you know what I mean? It's just, all I need is just the broad strokes, and I could fill in the rest with the way that I would do it. When I started doing that, it was way more effective. Way more effective. Yep. And that's the same thing. And this leads me to the second thing. We covered just be confident. Just be yourself. Okay, so again, not terrible advice. You actually should be yourself. But what self are you showing? Because guess what? Your relationship with people is going to be different depending on the situation in front of you. Okay.
Yep.
So for instance, I'll just go out on a limb, Shabam, and say that you likely talk to your parents differently than you talk to your friends.
Of course.
And you likely talk to your friends differently than you would if you encountered a 4-year-old little girl on the street.
Yep.
And you would probably talk to your girlfriend differently than you would that 4-year-old girl on the street. At least I hope you would.
Well, no, I'm just kidding.
Who's to say that she's not my girlfriend?
You want to get cancelled, I think.
Yeah, right. Better mind my P's and Q's here. So, but but the thing is that you're going to, and why? Why would you be talking to these people differently? Because they have different levels of understanding and know you differently than the other people. Now, there might be some crossover. If you're in a room with your friends and your parents, you may say stuff that everybody's going to understand. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you are slightly different depending of the person that you're in front of. Anybody, and I see this all the time, you know, where like, you always see like these, like on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, where it's like some meme of, somebody from like Peaky Blinders or something, some like old school looking, rough looking Italian dude in New York City in 1915 or something, and he looking all tough. And it's like, if you can't handle me, then you know what I mean? You know the kind of memes I'm talking about, right? Where the idea of the meme is like, I'm myself no matter what. And, I'd rather be a lone wolf than be with a pack of sheep or whatever it is, And it's like, okay, cool. I hear you. But if you talk to everybody exactly the same, then you're an idiot. You're a goddamn fool if that's the case. Now, I'm not saying that you have to sell yourself out or you have to change your ethics or morals or your beliefs, your worldview. I'm not saying that you have to change any of that, nor should you, But the way that you communicate those things is going to be different, or at least it should be. Because, again, if I came to you, Shabam, in India, and I don't speak the language, say you start teaching me some stuff, right? You're like, okay, so I can basically have a very basic conversation, and I can read a little bit of stuff and I can get around and whatever. Okay. If I'm talking to somebody where you live and I'm just being stubborn and just being like, nope, I only speak English no matter what. That's part of who I am. I'm an English speaking American. I'm not going to be able to communicate with anybody effectively. Yep. And that would be my fault. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like I'm in your world. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't adapt on some level, then why am I even there?
Yeah, right. Like a better example is driving, man. Like, for example, in India, right? We drive on the left. On the left-hand side.
Oh, you don't
drive on the right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, if you're in India and you're like, I'm going to drive on the right because I'm an American, you're going to be like,
right,
yep.
Yeah, it's killing everybody. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and of course, those are extreme examples, but again, guys love to take it to the extreme. Like, oh, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to, present myself any better or anything like that. It's like, why, man? Like, if you have all these cool things that you like about yourself and you're like, I'm going to maintain just being myself, wouldn't you want to accentuate those things? Wouldn't you want people to understand those things about you and you communicate those things effectively enough so that it resonates and makes sense to the girl that you're talking to? Those things that you're so proud of that you're just unwilling to change because they're so dope? Or is it that you don't want to change those things because you think you can't? And now you're using that as a scapegoat. Oh, I'm just being myself. Oh, really? Are you? And then another thing too is, what is yourself? Okay, now we can go into a bunch of philosophy about that, and I feel like I have a pretty good handle on how to define somebody's identity. But that being said, listen, I'm in my mid-40s, okay? I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago in my mid-30s. I'm certainly not the same person I was in my mid-20s.
Yep.
And I'm really not the same as I was in my teens.
Yep.
And I'm way different on every level, mentally, physically, everything, than I was when I was 5. You know what I'm saying? So, like, again, if I'm the same person now that I was 20 years ago, then all that would mean is that I've had zero emotional growth. I've had zero maturity. That I haven't learned anything about life. You know, I'm different than I was then. That there's some things I still carry with me from those days. You know what I mean? But not everything.
Yeah.
You know, and so you as an individual, if the thing is like, well, I'm not willing to change, you're going to change regardless. But what you really don't want to do is sell yourself out. That's it. Yep. It's okay to talk to people in a way that they can understand what it is that you're talking about, you know, where they can feel it, where it resonates with them. And now what are you doing? You're really making connection.
Yep.
You know, so that's what I mean. Like if you're one of these guys that's just like, I'm not going to change. Well, basically what you're telling me is you're too lazy to actually do it. You know, I'll challenge you on that. By the not you, Shabar, but but you know, anybody listening, they want to take me to task for that statement. No, I'm not lazy. Oh, let's have that conversation, and you will come away with it either A, feeling like, okay, Dale's right, and these are some things I need to change, or B, you won't be able to swallow your pride enough, but you'll know that I'm right, but you still won't do it. Or thirdly, you'll stick to your guns and not listen to any type of reasoning. One of those three things, you know, because if you're not, you're going to change regardless. So why not accentuate the things that you are actually the most proud of about yourself, the things that you like about yourself?
Like, you know, be the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
No one is telling you to change. Just be the best version of you. Like,
yeah,
you know, you don't have to be a different person.
Nobody is saying that, like, you should, like, you know, we'll say that you're, for your job, you work at a factory, okay? Nobody is saying that you should go around and be somebody that you're not and tell everybody that you're an astronaut or something, you know? And that, like, I don't know, you're an adrenaline junkie. When the truth be told, like, you don't really ever hardly leave your house, you know, like, nobody's suggesting that you should do all these things. And if they are, they're dead ass wrong, you know? So, but what about, like, working at that factory? Why do you work at that factory? What is it about you that has you working there? What are you doing with that money that you're making at that factory? You know, maybe your job's not that cool per se. I mean, it's not as cool as being an astronaut, certainly, but maybe you're using that money that you're making at the factory. Maybe you don't even like the job that much, but you're making pretty good money. And so that facilitates you having a really cool lifestyle outside of work.
Yep.
You know, so, and those are cool things to talk about. Those are interesting topics, you know, and you're not, by talking about these things, you're not selling yourself out. You're not being that guy that's just willing to trade in his identity and who he is so a pretty girl smiles at him. You're kind of being a bitch if you do that, you know? So,
and it's very, very fake, okay? Like, people find it out pretty easily. Like, if you pretend that you're something you're not, sooner or later, it's just a matter of time, you know? Like, people will figure it out, like, pretty easy.
No doubt.
Pretty easy.
Absolutely. You truth always comes to light, man. You know? And, like, okay, so you start dating this girl who, you know, got attracted to you because, you know, you just fronted the whole time. You know, like, you're constantly going to be waiting for that other shoe to drop. You know,
like at
sooner
some
or later,
point,
she's gonna figure some things out, you know?
Yeah, like, she's gonna be like, he's no longer as confident, and, you know, like, he's no longer, like, you know, doing the things he told me about, like, you know, being like an adrenaline junkie in, like, you know, for example, and, well, he hasn't left the house this week, like, what the fuck, you know, sort of thing, like, but it's like, it's little things, but, like, you know, it just adds up like that, so.
What kind of adrenaline is he getting sitting at home? Like, maybe he's got like a bear in there or something that he wrestles.
A pet bear,
But on that note, we're going to wrap it up here. But listen, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, I'm urging you to do so. We're giving away a lot of free content here, and I'm not trying to lay a guilt trip on you. And I know that you hear this nonstop on every YouTube channel on planet Earth, but there's a reason why everybody throws that out there. It's because it's important. It's important because A, it helps us be able to reach more people. B, it helps you because now you're being notified when we're dropping new content and things like that. So it's that way now you like, hey,
don't miss out on anything.
Dale, Shabam, they know what they're talking about. They're talking about this, and I'm really dealing with this. Oh man, I better go check this out. And you may have not known any idea about it until it popped up in your notifications. And so you wouldn't have got it if you didn't subscribe and all that kind of stuff, man. So, and also, a lot of these topics that we talk about on this podcast, obviously a lot of inner game topics. I mean, it's in the name of the podcast, but also, overcoming adversity and, trying to overcome obstacles in your life and all that kind of thing. If you know somebody is going through something and what we said really makes sense, but it's not speaking to you directly because you're not struggling with that certain thing, share it with that person, man. Why are you keeping them from having the opportunity to overcome whatever it is that they're struggling with? I find that a lot of guys in this space, they're very reluctant to share with other people things that they found out about in this space. And I don't know why. I mean, I kind of have an idea. I think it has a lot to do with pride, and I don't want to look weak in front of my friends or anything like that.
Exactly. It's a bit of that.
Man.
Yeah.
But how are you weak when you're literally empowering everybody you know by giving them content that will dramatically change their lives? That's like saying that the lifeguard that pulled you out of the ocean is a bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if he didn't, you would be the sea's bitch, I guess.
You're out there drowning, arms flailing around, and here comes the lifeguard jumping into the water, Baywatch style or whatever, and, and you're telling me, as this person's swimming to come get you, you're like, what a bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, you're gonna be like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, you literally saved my life. Be that lifeguard. If the lifeguard didn't jump in to get you, now he's a bitch.
Yeah.
And so by you not sharing the content with people that need to hear it, you're kind of being a bitch. I know I've called a lot of people a bitch in this episode, but they got it coming, if the shoe fits. So, so that's what's up, guys. If you need anything, always know that you can reach out to me, DM me, whatever it is that you got to do. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.